Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, even though it's the ending of Shabbat, all his praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach Yahushai. I'm going to start this lesson. My incense burnt out, go figure. But Shalom. Shalom, everybody. It's your brother, Shamya Allah. I'm going to start this lesson. It's titled Plagues of Egypt. We're all familiar with it. And we still in a, what, I guess you say Pesach season, or over the, for some they passed and some still haven't started, believe it or not. But yeah, so I'm going to call it spring, Abib, the month of Abib, but it is still Pesach season. It's still the spring season, which is the month of Abib. So the title of this is Plagues of Egypt, and we're going to be, if y'all want to read it, I'll just basically tell you is we're not going to read all the chapters of Exodus, but we are going to start with the 7th chapter, okay, of the Plagues of Egypt, and we're going to start at the first verse, right? So, and we will be reading from the book of Joshua. Yes, that's part of our history, and I got to say this one more time, okay? This is part of our history. It's mentioned in the book of Joshua, the book of 2 Samuel, and the book of Timothy. So in other words, all the prophets and apostles had this book and history. All the prophets and the apostles. So that means from Moses, Joshua, all the prophets, and all the apostles. Okay? Study from this book of Joshua. And yes, this is the good version. So, get used to it. That's all I can say, man. So we will be reading a little bit from both of those books, or from the book of Jasher, or Yashar, okay, in the Hebrew, proper language, Yashar, right? So, but we're going to start in the book of Exodus, 7th chapter, and we're going to start at the first verse. And I'm going to see if I can still blow this Rams on real quick. Wow. Well, I did good earlier. Maybe next time. That's a little too much. Strain on me. I'll fall out trying to blow the thing. But anyway, I did it good earlier with no problem. It's weird. But, show you the resistance I'll be getting. But let's get to it, man. This is going to probably be 2 parts. This is part 1, and I'm going to say that. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to start in the book of Exodus, 7th chapter, and we're going to start at the first verse. And Yahweh said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, which means in the Hebrew, a power. I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. 2nd verse, thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Yashar'Allah out of his land. So, all right, 3rd verse, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. So he basically given Moses the blueprint of what he's going to do, and basically the lowdown what's going to happen. And he's basically given the blueprint right in this chapter. And let's read on, right? And it said, but Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt and bring forth my armies and my people, the children of Yashar'Allah, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out of the children of Israel, out of children of Yashar'Allah from the land, from among them. Salah. And Moses and Aaron did as Yahweh commanded them, so did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spake unto Pharaoh. So that means Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron was 83 years old. So Moses was the younger. Okay, 8th verse. And Yahweh spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, show a miracle for you, show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. 10th verse. And Moses and Aaron went unto Pharaoh, and they did so as Yahweh had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. 11th verse. Then Pharaoh also called wise men and sorcerers. Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Okay. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, meaning his mind, that he hearkened not unto them, as Yahweh had said. Right? 14th verse. And Yahweh said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go. 15th verse. Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goeth out unto the waters, and thou shalt stand by the river's brink against he come, and the rod which was turned to a serpent shall thou take in thy hand. That same rod. 16th verse. And thou shalt say unto him, Yahweh, the power of the Hebrews, have sent me unto thee, saying, let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. 17th verse. Thus saith Yahweh, in this thou shalt know that I am Yahweh. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. So this is the second miracle, right? 18th verse. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. Excuse me. 19th verse. And Moses spake unto Salakia, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Salakia, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, take thy rod and stretch out thy hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all the pools of the water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so as commanded, as Yahweh commanded, and he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died. And Salaki. And the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. So I'm going to stop right there, right? So that's basically showing you what? The two plagues of Egypt. Now I'm going to go, from there, we're going to go into the book of Jashar. And the 80th chapter, the plagues of Egypt. For those who don't have it, just listen. Right? And we're going to start at the first verse. At the end of 2 years, Yahweh again sent Moses to Pharaoh to bring forth the children of Israel and to send them out of the land of Egypt. And Moses went and came to the house of Pharaoh and spoke to him the words of Yahweh who had sent him. But Pharaoh would not hearken to the voice of Yahweh. And Yahweh roused his might in Egypt and upon Pharaoh and his subjects. And Yahweh smote Pharaoh and his people with very great and sore plagues. And Yahweh sent by the hand of Aaron and turned all the waters of Egypt into blood with all their streams and rivers. And when an Egyptian came to drink and draw water, he looked into his pitcher, and behold, all the water was turned into blood. And when he came to drink from his cup, the water in the cup became blood. So he's showing how affected the Pharaoh. 5th verse. And when a woman kneaded her dough and cooked her victuals, their appearance was turned to that of blood. So even the food that had water in it turned to blood. You see, the book of Joshua is more detailed on the history of the plagues and what happened. Right? So, 6th verse, it says, of 80th chapter, 6th verse says, and Yahweh sent again and caused all their waters to bring forth frogs. And all the frogs came into the houses of the Egyptians. Right? So this is like the 3rd plague. And when the Egyptians drank, their bellies were filled with frogs, and they danced in their bellies as they danced when in the river. See, it's more detailed. They don't tell you that part, right? In the Bible. So 9th verse. No, Salakia, 8th verse. It says, and all their drinking water and cooking water turned to frogs. Also, when they lay in their beds, their perspiration bred frogs. So their perspiration, meaning their sweat from their glands, bred little frogs in. That's a hell of a curse. So this would be the 3rd plague with the frogs. You see? That's amazing, man. Y'all think about that. And y'all heard what I just read. You heard right. 9th verse. Notwithstanding all this, the anger of Yahweh did not turn from them, and his hand was stretched out against all the Egyptians to smite them with every heavy plague. 10th verse. And he sent and smote their dust to lice, and the lice became in Egypt to the height of 2 cubits upon the earth. So that's 2 cubits of lice. That make me itch reading that, man. Woo! Right? 11th verse. The lice were also very numerous. And the flesh of man and beast and all the inhabitants of Egypt, also upon the king and queen, Yahweh sent the lice, and it grieved Egypt exceedingly on account of the lice. So attack man and beast, it says, right, in 11th verse. So now the 12th verse reads, notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahweh did not turn away, and his hand was still stretched out over Egypt. So he was determined to show forth his power and the miracles and plague the Egyptians because of Pharaoh's stubborn heart and the Egyptians. Because they was all in league and in one mind. They went along with their leader, which is the Pharaoh, which is a same title as a king. And they did what their leader said. So they got the same and suffered the same. That's why he basically gave, like I said in the 7th chapter, the blueprint, what was going to go down. He told Moses and Aaron, this is what's going to happen. He's not going to listen. When he says heart in his heart, meaning he's not going to listen to what you say, to my words. And I'm doing this to show forth my power. He told them this in the very beginning. So they did as the Most High said. And did it not play out the way he said it? Yes, it did. That Pharaoh was stubborn as hell. Now, you see what we read in the 8th and 9th chapter, Salakia, in the 8th and 9th verse, Salakia, in the 8th and 9th verse of the 80th chapter, right? It said, that blew my mind too. It said, and their frogs, because this was the third plague right here. He said, all their drinking water and cooking water turned to frogs. Also, when they lay in their beds, their perspiration bred frogs. So their sweat glands bred frogs, little frogs, man. You know how the sweat gland is, a drop of sweat is, so it became a little frog. Let it marinate. This is why it's important to read the book of Jasher along with the Bible, because like I said, the book of Jasher gives you the background history, the other part of the history in detail that is not mentioned in the Bible. Okay, you got to get accustomed to that and really try to get your hands on the book of Jasher. Brothers got to stop making excuses, basically. So with that being said, I'm going to continue on. And so the fourth plague was the lice. Let's read the 10th verse again. It says, and he sent and smote their dust to lice. So basically he turned dust into lice. And the lice became in Egypt to the height of 2 cubits upon the earth. And that's huge, because it's big. A cubit is a little bigger. It's about 18 inches, if I recall, bigger than a foot. So it's about 18 inches. And you imagine that 2 cubits of that. So 2 cubits would be, I guess, 36 inches. So that's basically like 36. So that's like 3 feet, or a yard. We would say a yard, 1 yard. Because 1 yard is 3 foot. So that's like 1 yard of lice from the ground up, of lice. And it destroyed man and beast and all the inhabitants of Egypt. So each plague was killing people and animals. Well, we know for sure, like it says man and beast, but the lice came. So it was killing man and beast. So notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahweh, 12th verse, notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahweh did not turn away, and his hand was still stretched out over Egypt. 13th verse, and Yahweh sent all kinds of beasts of the field into Egypt, and they came and destroyed all Egypt, man and beast and trees and all things that were in Egypt. 14th verse, and Yahweh sent fiery serpents, scorpions, mice, weasels, toads, together with others creeping in dust. 15th verse, flies, hornets. Y'all know about the hornets, right? Fleas, bugs, and gnats, each swarm according to its kind. So they were swarming to their own kind, to each kind, but they all attacked the Egyptians. Isn't that something? 16th verse, and all reptiles, and winged animals according to their kind came into Egypt and grieved the Egyptians exceedingly. So these Egyptians was grieved, but they were still stubborn. And remember, they were people with the same mind. They were some hateful people, just like their king was, right? So let's go to, let's read on to the 17th verse. And the fleas and flies came into the eyes and ears of the Egyptians. So it grieved them bad, boy. Attacked their eyes and their ears. It was everywhere. So you look at it. So they was attacked by how many? How many? It was fire. Let's read it. Fiery serpents, 1. Scorpions, 2. Mice, 3. Weasels, 4. Toads, 5. With others creeping in the dust. And then let's read on. Flies, 6. Hornets, 7. Fleas, 8. It said bugs and gnats, 9 and 10. Each swarm according to its kind. So that's 10 different insects, basically. And then it says, 16th verse, and all reptiles and winged animals. So reptiles was included. And winged animals, so that's birds. All types of scavenger birds attacked according to their kind came to Egypt and grieved the Egyptians. So the Most High used reptile, birds, and like 10 different kinds of insects, or more for that matter, right? And 17th verse, and the fleas and flies came into their eyes and ears of the Egyptians. See, I told you it was more because remember the 18th verse says, and the hornet, let me see, did I read up? Yeah, I said hornet. It said hornets in the 15th verse. So it says, now it's saying, 18th verse saying, and the hornet came upon them and drove them away, and they removed from it into their inner rooms, and it pursued them. So they ran into their rooms. But the hornets pursued after them into their rooms, like it just read in the 18th verse. 19th verse. And when the Egyptians hid themselves on account of the swarm of animals, they locked their doors after them, and Yahweh. So when they did this, the Most High did this. When they locked their doors, this is what the Most High did. And Yahweh ordered the Solonoth, which was in the sea, to come up and go into Egypt. So this is a creature from the sea. It's going to give a little description of this creature because it's never been seen before. So let's read. Ordered Solonoth, which was in the sea, to come up and go into Egypt. 20th verse. And she had long arms, 10 cubits in length of the cubit of a man. Could you imagine that? So it was a female creature that had long arms, that had the arms of a man, but it was 10 cubits long though. 10 cubits. So that's like 10 yards. Because a cubit is about 18 inches. So that's about 10 yards long of an arm. What else did it do? Oh, she did. It said, and she went, 21st verse, and she went upon the roofs and uncovered the raftering and flooring and cut them and stretched forth her arm into the house and removed the lock and the bolt and opened the houses of Egypt. And see, this is the part that you don't read in the Bible. So the Most High used creatures that was not, we didn't know, you don't hear about in the Bible. What you think of that? Who knew about the creature of Solonoth? Well, only those that read the book of Jasher, right? As you see, the prophets and the apostles studied this book. So, like I said, man, get with the program and you get serious see to understand the power of the Most High. They didn't know about this creature, Solonoth. I'm sure of it. Because look where it came from, out of the sea. A 10 foot with arms of a man, 10 foot yard, 10 yards long, 10 cubits. So that's 10 yards long. We don't know the power of the Most High, man. He know how to terrorize some people, man. And he's still that man of word today. All right? So let's read on to the 22nd verse of Book of Joshua in the 80th chapter, right? And I said this is going to be 2 parts, so y'all bear with me. We're just going to be doing part 1 today. So, y'all can just relax and enjoy the lesson. So, we're going to start at the 22nd verse of the Book of Joshua. Continue in the Book of Joshua. In the 22nd verse, it reads, "Afterward came the swarm of animals into the houses of Egypt, and the swarm of animals destroyed the Egyptians, and it grieved them exceedingly. Notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahweh did not turn away from the Egyptians, and his hand was yet stretched forth against them. And Yahweh sent the pestilence, and the pestilence pervaded Egypt, and the horses and asses and the camels and the herds of oxen and sheep and in man." So the plagues attacked their animals. They attacked the horses, the asses, the camels, and in herds of oxen, what meaning the ox, and sheep, and in man, and the men of Egypt. 25th verse. "And when the Egyptians rose up early in the morning to take their cattle to pasture, they found all their cattle dead." So you probably, that's the power of the Most High, man. Only he can control all things. He created all things, seen and unseen. He can control all things and send plagues against man, against these nations, okay, that torment the children of Yashar'Allah, okay? And even today, it hasn't changed, right? Only difference now, you got the 2/3 is being plagued now of our people. So he's showing you, making a separating, he's showing you a difference between a remnant and the 2/3 of Yashar'Allah. Okay? That's the only difference. Because what? The others are insalvageable. Okay? That's why it's a blessing to come into this knowledge and truth and the gospel and a life of, and waking up to who you are as Yashar'Allah. It's a big blessing, man. Especially in these last days and evil days, man. Right? Because we know these nations getting ready up for the big one, the big war, man. And there's no turning back. And who wants to? Not me. He said, "He that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved," right? So what I stopped at 26th verse, right? It reads, "And there remained of the cattle of the Egyptians only 1 in 10. And of the cattle belonging to Israel and Goshen, not one died." See, did he not make a difference between Yashar'Allah and the nations? Did he not make a difference? Yes, he did. And in fact, I'm going to pause there on the 26th verse. Y'all probably know where I'm going to go, but I got to read it for edification. So y'all don't think, what it says. We're going to jump to, still in Exodus in the Bible right now. We're going to Exodus in the Bible. And it reads in the 11th chapter and the 7th verse reads what? "But against any of the children of Yashar'Allah shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that Yahweh doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel and Yashar'Allah." Right? So the Most High said it himself, man. And he showed you by demonstration, by example. We just read in the 26th verse. Who all the plagues fell on? The Egyptians. Who lost all their cattle and their animals? The Egyptians. Who didn't? Yasha'Allah. Because he showed you he loved Yasha'Allah, man. Matter of fact, while I'm there, I'm going to pause there. Matter of fact, I can stay in the same chapter, Exodus 19th chapter. Jump ahead real quick. I'm going to just read this. Y'all don't have to turn to it. Y'all can just listen. Exodus 19th chapter. And the 5th verse reads, Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And from there, real quick, I want to read one more. Right? We're gonna jump all the way. Y'all don't gotta turn to it because y'all know it. Those are the seasons. Y'all can note it down. Those that don't, it's Deuteronomy. We're going to Deuteronomy real quick, 7th chapter and the 6th verse. It reads, For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So it's clear the Most High made a difference. And in Exodus, he said, you'll always be his if you keep his commandments. Right? So we are the ones the Most High love, man. He chosen. He hasn't changed. Right? He said he's the same today and yesterday. So we always got to be obedient to Yahweh power and do what he says and to be obedient children, man. He said, if you love me, you keep my commandments. Did he not say that in the gospel? He said, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Right? So I'm going to read 26th verse again. We're going to move on. And there remained of the cattle of the Egyptians only 1 in 10, and of the cattle belonging to Israel in Goshen, not one died. See? That's love. Right? 27th verse. And Yahweh sent a burning inflammation in the flesh of the Egyptians, which burst their skins, and it became a severe itch in all the Egyptians from the soles of their feet to the crowns of their heads. And that's talking about that boils. That's the boils that he put on them. 28th verse is going to say it. And many boils were in their flesh, that their flesh wasted away until they became rotten and putrid, as in petrified, but it says putrid. Right? So he plagued them hard, man. Boils of the flesh, man. That's disgusting, but it is what it is. It shows you how much the Most High hated these nations and loved the children of Yasha'Allah. Matter of fact, I got to go to it. Isaiah. Give you another example. Give you another precept. What do you think about these nations, man? Let's get to it. So he showed you how he loved Israel, but he's demonstrating how he hates these other nations that trouble us. And there you go. Isaiah 40th chapter and the 15th verse. Behold, the nation are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing. 16th verse. And Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. 17th verse. All nations before him are as a drop. Salakia. 17th verse. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. So that's how the Most High feel about these nations, man. He loved Israel and said, the hell with the rest. Right? Did he not demonstrate it? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So we're just going over our history, man. Okay, we stopped at the 28th verse, and we're going to continue on to the 29th verse. Matter of fact, let me read one more. showing you how he loved Yasha'Allah, man. Right? Amos. Amos. Three. Y'all know where I'm going. Amos 3:1. It reads, Hear this word that Yahweh hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore will I punish you for all your iniquities. Right? So, he said, I know Israel, man. I don't know these other nations. And he loves Israel. We read all the precepts where he said he loved Israel, man, and hasn't changed. He's the same today and yesterday, man. So let's read on, right? 28th verse, we're going to, Salakia, we read that, right? Yeah. 29th verse, Notwithstanding this, the anger of Yahweh did not turn away, and his hand was still stretched out over all Egypt. 30th verse, And Yahweh sent a very heavy hail, which smote their vines and broke their fruit trees and dried them up, that they fell upon them. So he destroyed their crops. 31st verse, Also every green herb became dry and perished, for a mingling fire descended amidst the hail. Therefore the hail and the fire consumed all things. So he destroyed their crops, everything, man. The herbs yielding crop, he destroyed it, man. Their fruits destroyed, their vines, their grapevines, their fruit trees, all their fruits, he destroyed it, man. He destroyed their fruits and vegetables, man. Right? And with mingling fire of hell amidst it. Y'all used to seeing hell with snowstorms in hell. He sent the hell with mingling fire. How about that? The Most High created and controls everything seen and unseen, the elements included, man. He created everything, and he controls it, and they at his command when he speak, when he say it. So we serve a mighty, great power. Know that. And only power in the earth. He loved the children of Yasha'Allah. He created many nations, but loved one. We as chosen people, man. So, it behooves our people to repent and come back to your laws, statutes, commandments, come back to your identity, come back to your nationality. So, 32nd verse, and this is going to be the ending, I guess, at the part 1. Also men and beasts that were found abroad perished of the flames of fire and of the hail, and all the young lions were exhausted. And Yahweh sent and brought numerous locusts into Egypt, the Chassel, Salom, Chagol, and Chagol, locusts, each of its kind, which devoured all that the hell had left remaining. So what that mingled fire of hell didn't destroy, he sent locusts to finish the job. You can't tell me we don't serve a mighty power, man. Everything is at his command. The insects, the elements. He destroyed these nations, man. And with that, and he destroyed more of their beasts. Also men and beasts, it says in the 32nd and beginning, it said, also men and beasts that were found abroad perished of the flames of the fire and of the hell, and all the young lions were exhausted. And Yahweh sent and brought numerous locusts into Egypt. So it's showing you the different kinds of locusts that he sent to destroy, that didn't get destroyed in the fire. And with that, I'm going to say shalom. Until next time, this is part 1 of the plagues of Egypt. Shalom.